データの作り物にしちゃよくできてんな。
Yeah, it is a pretty damn good CG. Well, kind of, at least until we get transported to Onimusha for the PS2. Well, after watching episode 49, it seems that the movie is a lot more important than what I thought, so I have decided to watch this movie. Well, I don't really have a lot to say about this quote-unquote movie. It's like 30-ish minutes long, and I've even watched the actual like semi-extended cut, which is like 40-something minutes long. So, I don't know, it's a slightly longer episode with more of a budget. The movie itself is about Gira right before he got crowned as king, after episode 23, before episode 24, and even before the big old time skip. And because of that, all of the characters have their original looks. Until he and pretty much the rest of the team got pulled to the deadland Hakabanaka, I think I'm saying it correctly, by Movie Girl, aka Divonica, which once lived in the orphanage with Gira, but they were pulled in specifically by the first king of Shogadam, Reinoli, to pretty much test them if they are actually worthy and capable of defending Terra from a very large threat looming. It was kind of interesting that the movie kind of tried to portray Reinoli as a bad guy, but he was like a bad guy with actual intentions, because he's there to really test Gira and the other kings to see if they're like actually worthy and know if they actually can be competent to defend Terra from Dugdead, which he already knew was coming. Is an interesting story. He wanted to come back to the land of the living, specifically not from evil and cruel intentions, but actually to defend Terra. So like, there is a cool dichotomy here, that like the bad guy of the film wants to do good, but the way that he needs to do it is by literally killing Devonica. That could have been an interesting thing to do and to tell. The problem is, the movie's runtime was so short, they couldn't really do a lot with it. So it's like, okay, we will do it, and we'll do it very quickly, and we're just gonna kind of get rid of it as quickly as possible. How much, you know, even with the extended stuff, there isn't a lot of really stuff that is truly integral to the actual plot of the movie. It's way more stuff that is very much was added on, probably because of the time skip, and they kind of understood what they really wanted to do. Again, I think that if the movie was longer, we could have actually had the interesting kind of dilemma of like, oh, Reinoli is a good guy. He still wants to protect Terra, but like he doesn't see us as competent enough or strong enough. Like literally, he says to Gira, Gira, you are a good king. You are a good boy. The problem is, you are way too kind, and kindness in war would lead to death. That's an interesting dilemma. That's an interesting dichotomy that we could have had for the entirety of like an hour-and-a-half movie. But Gates got it, King-Ohger doesn't get it. A far-off, better-written show got a 30 minutes movie, while a show that was jumbled around got an hour-long movie. I'm not going to talk about Gates. I'm sick of Gates. Gosh, in one point I would talk about that weird movie with black kids. I don't care. But also, Reinoli's powers are weird because like he can project shit that can literally touch people. How? Like, is it because he is like semi the king of the land of the dead he can do that? I don't know. That power set is really interesting and I would have loved to know more about it. But I really did like the theming of the new generation choosing their own destiny, with Devonica being on board with her dying to resurrect Reinoli until she kind of fully listened to Gira and decide to leave Renoli, and that was kind of an interesting thing that Devonica could have played a really interesting part in the series. But with episode 49, we already know she returned to the land of the dead, so I don't know. I don't really get the entire like, oh my god, like I'm my own person and I don't need to think about my lineage or my destiny. My destiny is going to be chosen by me, and then just like I'm back. Cool. For the rest of the team, well, all of them didn't really do a lot. Jeremy literally did nothing. He appeared once in the beginning of the movie, and then after they pretty much went to Hakabaka, he just disappeared until like the final fight scene. Like, I still don't get why the fuck Sentai is doing it. It's like you have the new Sixth Ranger. Use him to sell the nice cool looking spider toys. While Gust's entire thing is pretty much, okay, I'm going to find a way to bring us back to the land of the living. That was pretty much it. He had kind of a funny thing with Shirakawa, and he was kind of responsible of bringing all the retainers to help the other kings kind of like return from where they kind of came from. But that's pretty much it, when both the show and the movie could have done a really interesting thing, and that is bringing in Jin, like the person that taught Gust everything about computing. Like specifically this movie, like this could have been such an heartwarming moment, seeing like Jin is like, oh my boy, you grew up to be such a great fucking king. You not only rebuild our kingdom, but you became its king. You rebuild and you redid everything that the past kings didn't have. You gave us new weapons. You resurrected pretty much King-Ohger. That could have been a nice, heartwarming moment. But the show couldn't even have the little bit of money to bring an older actor to play Jin, a character that could show up twice. Also, Spider-Mom wasn't there, and that was weird, but fine. Himeno at least got something. Her kind of final goodbye to her parents, an actual goodbye, which was nice. Again, like the entirety of Himeno trying to bring back her parents, literally a couple of episodes like before the finale, was weird because she actually got to say her goodbye to her parents, and it felt like, okay, she's kind of over it. Dealing and playing with the dead is a bad idea. But at least, hey, they got to have Himeno fully saying goodbye to her parents. Rita was an interesting one, specifically with them believing they are actually like being condemned / cursed by the people they judged, but in the end of the day they're actually thankful for them, which was nice. Like, they didn't really do a lot, to be completely honest. They did as much as Gust. To be completely honest, they did less if you really think about it. But hey, look at how Rita runs. I don't know what's the problem with Rita and running, but they just run weird. While with Daiboski, I have one complaint, and that is a complaint with a hindsight of like 20 episodes ahead of the film, and that is he was looking for Hercules. How much like he truly should have known that Hercules was just knocked out and not actually dead before he was, you know, moved in to Onimusha. It still looks weirdly odd. It's funny because like in the show it looked better, like Tofu on Fire looked better. I don't know why. And he had a thing with Hiroki that, tell the truth, was very kind of base level, nothing really that interesting, because like the show presented Hiroki as a way more interesting character with a lot more like dimensions, because there, like in this movie, they presented Hiroki as this two-dimensional villain that just, stole all the crops. I don't know, like, that was fine. Just the episode that kind of focused on Hiroki and Daiboski were a lot more interesting and told way more of a story than, that small little scene that kind of told us nothing about none of, the interactions and the history behind Daiboski and Hiroki. And like the big moment of like Renoli saying to Gira that, oh my god, Hercules is still alive, doesn't really make a lot of sense, specifically with how Gira reacted to Hercules returning. It felt way more like, oh my god, that's a surprise, Hercules is back. Where like the mask of Shugaram, whatever Hercules called himself when he kind of allied himself with Dog Dead for the first like 3-4 episodes before he got revealed as Hercules, was weirdly surprising because like Gira should have seen from the first get-go that was Hercules. Like, it's weird. I don't know why. Overall, it was a pretty fun movie. Nothing out of the ordinary for King-Ohger. It did really feel like the early stages of King-Ohger, specifically the way it told its story. The CG wasn't amazing. It was still a tiny bit better from the show because of the slightly increased budget, and probably the team that worked on the CGI had more time to actually work on it. I did really like the small drops of information from, Renoli saying that Hercules is still alive and the bigger threat being hinted at as Dog Dead, not fully being said, but kind of talking about it, and Dog Dead kind of making its debut in the end credit scene was really cool, which shows the production team really didn't tell the suit actor for Dog Dead what's Dog Dead's face, because you can clearly see him kind of like having the white part being like his chin. So like the suit actor thought it was his chin, so it's pretty much like the white part is Dog Dead's chin, and like all of like the blue trimming are his eyes, but it's not that. I don't know, I think it's kind of funny. But yeah, overall, if I could give it a grade, it's like a solid B, C plus to like B. It's around like that area. I don't know. So, what you all thought about King-Ohger Adventures to Heaven? Have you watched it? Are you excited for the finale? Comment below, let me know. Thank you very much for watching this video. Subscribe to my channel if you already didn't, and have a great rest of your day.